But here's the next thing to watch out for after we get maybe this next round of increases. At some point, people are going to be able to see the worst case scenario for their interest rates. We're not there yet. Well, hello again, everybody. Obviously, the big thing in the financial markets at the moment is the Reserve Bank's recent increase in the official cash rate from 3.5% to 4.25%. And I discussed that quite a bit just a few days ago, but we do have some data in hand now showing what the impact actually is out there in the residential real estate market. So every month I run about 5 surveys trying to get coalface insight into what is happening in the economy and obviously the real estate market in particular. And I'm just in the middle of running my monthly survey of real estate agents, so excellent timing, shall we say, following the monetary policy change. And what I can see from so far, about 300 responses coming in, is that we've gone right back to where things were in about June, just before I started talking about we're in the end game for the residential real estate market falling away. With regard to measures like people showing up at open homes, no, they're not now. People showing up at auctions, no, they are not now. Investors showing any interest, definitely not. Except for one thing. There's one measure that I track there ever since I started the survey up 2.5 years ago, which has pulled back, but nowhere remotely back to where it was in June, and that is the net proportion of agents saying they are seeing more first home buyers. Now, the result, with maybe about half of the total number of responses coming in, is about minus 16%. So it's on the negative side. For the previous 3 months, the responses were on the positive side. So definitely first home buyers have taken a step back, but nowhere near as much as investors and nowhere near as much as, like I say, with the other indicators pulling back. That says to me that first home buyers recognise that with listings up over 70% from a year ago, with the investors not in the market, with their incomes rising on average 8-10% over the past year, that the opportunity presents itself, in fact, to make a purchase as long as you have that long-term perspective on where things are going to go. Now, the second thing I just want to mention in this context is about the interest rates, because the Reserve Bank has done, I think, an excellent job of scaring the bejeebers out of everybody with its warnings about interest rates going up, but more specifically talk about recession, about the unemployment rate going up and these sort of things. Well, here's the thing. The Reserve Bank have predicted a peak for the official cash rate of 5.5%, and that's going to come in April, so just over 4 months from now. Now, just before the Reserve Bank made its monetary policy change, the markets had already factored in to the fixed borrowing costs which banks must face, an expectation of the cash rate being at about 5.1%. So yes, the announcement slightly higher than was expected. But remember back to when the banks out there increased their interest rates most recently, about 0.5% or so. That was right after the inflation number came out higher than expected in the middle of October. And what were the markets factoring in as the expected peak back then? 5.5% for the cash rate. So in other words, the fixed mortgage interest rates at the moment already by and large reflect an expectation in the markets that the cash rate will go to 5.5%. Now, bank margins are actually well below average, so I'm not prepared to say that this is as high as things get. We could easily get another 0.25% or so going on those fixed housing rates. But here's the next thing to watch out for after we get maybe this next round of increases. At some point, people are going to be able to see the worst case scenario for their interest rates. We're not there yet, but when we get there, I'd expect a few more investors to be starting to show some interest in the market because they can see what the worst is likely to be for their cash outflows. Like I say, we're not there yet, but just be aware, people I don't think have actually caught up with the fundamental for the interest rates, that the pain is sort of already in the market, already factored in. Further increases in fixed interest rates from these levels, I think there will be some, but I think they're going to be relatively minor. The big pain is coming from the less than 10% of borrowers who are sitting on a floating mortgage rate. Well, why would you stay there unless maybe you're going to repay your mortgage in the very near future? So interesting times out there. Like I say, definite impact in the residential real estate market from the Reserve Bank's monetary policy tightening, and scary words there, but just watch out that you don't get excessively pessimistic when it comes to your interest rate expectations. All the best.